Out in the background, the players out on the pitch, the atmosphere absolutely electric. More to come from Aidan McGeady a little bit later. Right now it is time to enjoy full live commentary as Group E of this season's UEFA Champions League gets up and running. Feyenoord against Celtic with James McFadden and Liam McLeod.
In the magnificent De Kuip here in Rotterdam, a traditional old ground. It's quite superb though, not a seat to be had as the two sets of players exchange handshakes ahead of this Champions League opener. And Celtic looking to win a Matchday 1 Champions League group match for the first time. Hasn't been done before by them. They've managed a couple of draws against Aalborg of Denmark, and then there was a draw against Benfica 11 years ago in Glasgow. Celtic players just getting picture taken, team photograph, and the two captains, Callum McGregor and Gernot Trauner, the Austrian centre-back of Feyenoord, who are missing some serious firepower tonight. The Japanese striker Ueda is injured, and Jimenez, the top scorer from last season, 28 goals, 6 and 6 this time around, is unavailable because of a red card he received in the Europa League quarter-final defeat to Roma last season, so he misses the first couple of group games for the Dutch champions. The Celtic players save for their captain and are way to go into the huddle off to our left. In fact, Callum McGregor will run off with the pennant that he's received from the Feyenoord skipper before returning to his teammate, and the other 10 Celtic players waiting for him right now. This, of course, the final season of the competition in its current format of 32 teams divided into 8 groups of 4. It's the last ever group stage. The last ever group stage of the UEFA Champions League. And as we saw with the international games last week, there will be a moment of reflection for the tragic events in both Morocco and Libya. Just about ready to go then. Just the second competitive meeting between these sides. The 1970 European Cup final was the only other one at the San Siro in Milan. As Feyenoord upset the odds to beat Jock Stein Celtic, who themselves lifted the big trophy just 3 years before. And Celtic going up against the 16 times and reigning Dutch champions as they look to win just a third away Champions League group match. Their group stage record on the road: played 33, won 2, drawn 4, lost 27. And it's a record that really needs to be put right if they're going to start dreaming of qualifying for the last 16 of this tournament. It will be Celtic who will kick off in blustery conditions here in Rotterdam. Left to right in one of their change kits, kind of lime green and grey tops with the black shorts. And they'll go left to right as we watch from the opposite side from the dugouts. And Celtic get their Champions League campaign off and running as it's rolled out to that far side. But they've given it away immediately. Over there fighting for it is Minte, who's on loan from Newcastle United. And he has it here as he scoops it into the centre circle. And it's picked up here by Ivanovic out to this left-hand side. Left foot cross ball into the Celtic box. Cleared by Scales, as it was fired in by Hartman, who plays it left back. And then back into their own half to Trauner. And then back to the goalkeeper, who is replacing the first choice this evening, Wellenreuter, the German. And that's how to play from him for a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. So difficult in these conditions as well, James, the atmosphere. The Celtic supporters are doing their best off to our left, up in the upper tier. But it's a hostile environment for the Celtic players. They came through that at Ibrox recently, but actually underfoot's going to be so slippery. Lots of rainfall. They were artificially watering it as well with the sprinklers, and it's really windy.
Yeah, it's not great conditions to watch. As long as the wind stays down, it's perfect for the players because they want to play the ball fast, they want to move it quick, and obviously a wet surface helps that. just right at the start, Celtic not great in possession, and Feyenoord then go on the attack, put an early cross ball in, but they were very good out of possession. When the ball goes back to the goalkeeper, they go and press it and force the long kick and win the ball back. So it's not that Celtic are going to sit back and wait for Feyenoord to bring that pressure. They are going to try and play it, and when it's on they will go and press, especially when the ball goes back to the goalkeeper.
Matt O'Reilly for Celtic as the attack slipped through towards Maida inside the area. Maida goes down, the ball was cleanly won by the defender, but he surely got to either get a shot away or smashed it across the face of goal, and eventually goes behind for the goal kick to the hosts.
He has to get his cross away or his shot away. It's brilliant play. Matt O'Reilly comes out far wide on the right hand side. Maida makes that run inside him. It's a defence splitting pass. He beats two players with it, and you're expecting Maida just to hit it first time, but he tries to get his body right to let the ball roll across the face, allowing the defender to get back in and put the challenge on. If he plays that earlier, Kyogo's in the middle to maybe potentially put the ball in the back of the net.
The sloppy moments from Feyenoord trying to get out of defence just in the last minute or so. They've eventually managed to get rid of it, but it's going to be picked up on the left by Taylor, though he can't control. Feyenoord have it as it's flicked out to this near side, but it's just going to bobble harmlessly away from Ivanušić, the Croatia international, and out for a throw-in on this near side. Back to Lagerbielke now with Liam Scales, who is surely playing the biggest match of his career so far this evening. He makes his Champions League debut. Alistair Johnston is too as he fires it long down the right-hand side, looking for O'Reilly, and it's headed out of play by Hansko, the Slovakian centre-back for Feyenoord, wearing their famous red and white, black shorts, black socks with the red tops. Celtic throw-in, level with the edge of the D of the Feyenoord box on this right-hand side. Johnston looking for O'Reilly. Feyenoord get it away though, and Maida losing out on this near side as it's played up the flank here for Stengs up the line, and there's a man caught off the ball there, and the referee, the Bosnian in charge of proceedings this evening, has awarded the free kick, and it looked as though it was the number 19 Minte who was upended just about level with the edge of the centre circle in the Celtic half on this near side.
Yeah, Feyenoord win the ball back from a Celtic throw-in, and they go and break down the left-hand side, and the ball's played inside. Minte's making that run across Lagerbielke. Liam Scales just blocks the run off, and the referee gives it the foul. But Feyenoord haven't looked amazing on the ball, and over only 3 or 4 minutes in. Celtic have been able to go and put pressure on them, force some mistakes, but you can see they've got real pace in that counter-attack, and that was a challenge that Liam Scales clearly felt he had to make. It was the last line of defence, close to the halfway line, but it shows that when Feyenoord win the ball back, they will break at speed, and Celtic have to be wary of that.
This is Celtic's 12th Champions League group stage campaign since their first one in 01-02 under Martin O'Neill, who was incidentally the manager last time they won in the Netherlands when they beat Ajax in the qualifiers. Picked up here by Wiever, the number 20, rolling it back to the edge of his own box. The Feyenoord fans aren't happy because Minte's waiting to come back on. He's on the pitch now. His parent club Newcastle drawing at AC Milan tonight, the scene of Feyenoord's finest hour. It's picked up here by Hansko, just rolling it to his central defensive partner Trauner, the midway point of his own half, up onto the halfway line. They've given it away again, and chasing after it over there is Stengs, and he's brought his man down. Luis Palma, who starts for Celtic tonight. Celtic have it, and it's played back into their own half. Scales to Lagerbielke, short ball to Johnston, and then back to Lagerbielke. We've passed the 5-minute mark, 0-0. Celtic have it with Taylor, wide in the left, long ball, Palma taking it down, lovely control, driving in field up to the edge of the penalty area. It's well marshalled though, over on that right-hand side by Gertruda. And Feyenoord get it away, only as far as McGregor at the edge of the centre circle, to the left for Scales. Back to his captain, back to Scales, side foot ball with the left foot forward to Palma, works it back into the feet of his captain, and McGregor rolls it out wide left. Celtic starting confidently here, rolled in towards the box for Palma. He's beaten to it though, over on the far side, and will be cleared by Gertruda and out for a throw into Celtic over there. But Brendan Rodgers has got to be pretty content with the opening 6 minutes of this.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. Confident is exactly how they look. Even without the ball, they're going and pressing. O'Reilly and Hatate are going and detach themselves from midfield to press that back line. They're not going to sit back here, Celtic. They're going to go and try and implement their game plan on Feyenoord, and they look confident. They're knocking the ball about well. Their reaction if they lose it is brilliant to go and win it back.
Palma down the left-hand side, gets the overlapping run from Taylor. Hatate back towards McGregor, shifts it with the outside of the boot to Johnston. He used to go in the slide though. It was a 50-50. It goes out of play for a throw into Celtic on this near side. It's not gone down well with the natives as Maida plays it with a throw to O'Reilly. Couldn't quite work it back to Maida. It's booted away to safety there by Ivanušić. Back to the edge of his own box for Joe Hart, who shifts it to Lagerbielke on this right-hand side. He had a really shaky game at Ibrox, albeit Celtic won the game with a clean sheet as well, so he'll be able to get that out of his system, I'm sure, this evening. Came off the bench for Nat Phillips, and he came off at half-time at the weekend. He went over Dundee. Hatate can't control in the centre circle. It's now Ivanušić playing it infield, but it's straight to Scales. And Scales elects to go back to his keeper. There's Joe Hart, making his 45th Champions League appearance in his career tonight. He'll go beyond the 50 mark this campaign, assuming he doesn't get injured, as Maida finds Kyogo's run down the right-hand side. Again, it was sloppy from the home team. Kyogo has it, level with 18, his cross is poor, but it breaks back to him. Left foot ball to Hatate at the edge of the box. Couldn't quite find O'Reilly. And Feyenoord able to get it away. And it's picked up over on that right-hand side by Igor Paixão, the Brazilian, who plays it down the right flank, cut out there by Taylor. Celtic have it back. Here's Maida from Hatate. Maida with the right foot, reversing it to the left of the box here for Palma. His cross comes in, but it beats everyone in Celtic colours and goes behind harmlessly for the goal kick on the reverse side of the goal. Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0 in 8 minutes.
They'll be delighted how this game's started, Liam. They've caused Feyenoord problems getting in behind that back line. When they've lost the ball, they've won it back quick. Just that chance there with Maida. I think when he takes his touch inside, just keep going inside. He plays it, reverses it back wide to Palma. Then he's the man that Palma's trying to pick out of the far post. I think Maida's got time and space to drive in towards the centre of the goal, then maybe look for those little defence splitting passes for Kyogo. But it's been a really strong, confident start for Celtic.
Goalless as well in the other game in the group at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome between Lazio and Atletico Madrid, as Joe Hart picks up at the edge of his box and plays it short to Lagerbielke, who finds McGregor. To Lagerbielke, now to Callum McGregor, rolls it with the left out to Maida. Almost managed to shuffle away from the defender, but it bounces off his right foot and out for a throw-in to Feyenoord, which is taken quickly. This near side by Ildishi Hardman, as it's played to the edge of the penalty area for Trauner. Into the midfield, it's with Vifa. Short ball out to this left-hand side. Long from Hartman down this Feyenoord left. Picked up though by Lagerbielke, who finds Johnston, but he's pinched off him by Ivanušić. He's forced back into his own half for Vifa, who in turn goes back to Hansko. Hansko gets it back immediately from his captain, just about level with the edge of the centre circle. And now it's pushed into the midfield area, and an opportunity perhaps here for Feyenoord to counter in behind. The low ball threaded through. Johnston with the body check. Play on. Feyenoord continue. Hart makes a little bit of a save there because there was an opportunity for Minte, who was driving in, but the referee spots the flag on the far side, and that'll be a free kick for Celtic for offside, and it's Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0 on 10 minutes. Just a little nervy moment for the Celtic defence there, because that ball slipped through, slid through beyond the two players there, and Alistair Johnston was caught on the wrong side. Yeah, I think Liam Scales deals with it well. He matches the run, even though he's offside, Minty. But when Alistair Johnston, he's caught the wrong side, the ball's played up inside him, Ivanušić is coming inside him, and he does bring him down. The referee spots it, allows the play to go on, but you know, saved by the assistant referee's flag up on the far side for an offside. But that was a nervy moment, and Feyenoord just showing the threat that they can carry as well on the attack. It's a lovely ball inside. I think Ivanušić was the target for it, but Minty showing his pace to get on the end of it. Well marshalled by Scales in the end. Yeah, well, certainly without scoring a goal, it's been as good a start as Celtic could have hoped for, really. They've been in control of the football plenty in the opening 11 minutes. Feyenoord are back on it right now with Trauner just to the right of the circle. He's looking up at the pitch inside his own half, taking it up towards halfway. rolling it out to Paixão, plays it in first time, and they've lost it again. And it bobbles out to play off a Celtic foot for a Feyenoord throw-in over on that far side. Big long dugouts over there, either side of the halfway line. Brendan Rodgers and his staff and subs off to the right as we watch from the reverse side of the stadium. It will be a throw-in, be taken by here Truda over on that far side, and back into the goalkeeper, Wellenreuter. Short ball to Trauner. It's at walking pace, really, just picking the ball up inside his box and deciding to go back to his goalkeeper. This time he plays it short to Wiefer. He's going to try and make a run up towards halfway. Delicate chip ball out to this near side for Hartmann. Short back to Hansko inside his own half. They're looking to just try and lift the ball over the Celtic defence there. He at least thought about it and then thinks better of it. Turns it back to Trauner. Then to here through that and into the centre circle where Matt O'Reilly did really well initially against Timburn. He's brought to the ground and that'll be a Celtic free kick, and it was good tenacious midfield play there by Matt O'Reilly. Won it back and then wins the foul, wins the free kick.
Yeah, he didn't buy it, Matt O'Reilly. The ball comes into Timber. It looks like he's got his back to Matt O'Reilly. It looks like he's going to let that roll on to his right. He steps to his right and drags it back onto his left. O'Reilly doesn't buy it, wins the ball back, then wins the foul. Maida was just inches away from gathering it and then getting Celtic on that counter-attack.
It's goalless if you're just joining us here on Sports Sound, Champions League Sports Sound. It's Feyenoord in possession. Stengs picks up the left of the centre circle, left-footed ball out to Paixão, who's going to get onto it. Down the right-hand side, level with the Celtic 6-yard line. Over on the Feyenoord right, played in field, little dink ball across is going to evade everyone from Minte. As Hartmann tries to keep it going on the near side, he then brings down Johnston. And that's a free kick to Celtic, and there are Feyenoord supporters throwing their drinks away in disgust at that decision by the referee. Very early for them to be getting frustrated. To be fair, they've been banging the goals in for fun recently, but they've been frustrated so far by Brendan Rodgers' side.
Yeah, I think that was an empty cup, Liam. I don't think that was a waste of anything. Maybe just the dregs of a pint there. But they are frustrated because Celtic are managing to defend, win fouls, and the Feyenoord fans are getting upset because they think that the fouls clearly should be going towards Feyenoord. But Celtic are managing to win those little 50-50s, win the ball back, bring fouls, and disrupt the rhythm of Feyenoord, especially when they're trying to attack.
The referee tonight, Irvan Pejito, he, as I said, is the first Bosnian to referee in the Champions League. He did Celtic's 2-1 win against Lazio in 2019 in the Europa. And it's now back with Trauner, the right centre back, into the midfield for Timber on the slide, gives it away. Here's Hatate, driving at the Feyenoord box up to the edge of it, and it's a scuffed shot at goal. Really opened up beautifully for Reo Hatate.
Yeah, it did. He steps in well, just over that inside channel on the left-hand side, and it opens up. It looks like he's going to try and caress it into the far post, tries to give the goalkeeper the eyes. It's a tame effort, nice and comfortable for Wellenreuter in goal, but it's positive. Celtic again flying into the challenges, winning those 50-50s, picking up the second balls. Hatate driving forward, thought he could potentially look for the pass for Kyogo, but it does open up for him, just not enough power in his shot.
It looked ready-made, tailor-made to kind of bend it to the far corner rather than scuff it to the near corner or the near post.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought he was going to do, because it opens up nice for him. I think he's maybe, he's clearly just trying to give the goalkeeper the eyes because it looks like that's the obvious thing to do, but he just doesn't get enough power on it to trouble him. But it's still a positive for Celtic.
0-0 on 15 as Hart plays it short to Lagerbilka, who squares it to Scales. Scales back to the Swede, and then to Johnston. He's under pressure, but he rolls it to Maida, trying to help her on its way to O'Reilly, but gets it wrong, and he puts it straight out for a throw-in.
It's good though, because Feyenoord are going and pressing. Celtic aren't panicking. They're still trying to, draw Feyenoord in, and when it comes up to Maida, you can see O'Reilly.
Long ball's going to skip through to Joe Hart as the intended target Minte chased it. Hart though gathers at the edge of his box. Celtic shading the possession in the early stages here, 53% in their favour. Away from home in the Champions League, settle for that. as Taylor picks up. It's a poor one from Greg Taylor, plays it straight off Wiefer, and it breaks back Liam Scales' way, and he rolls it to his goalkeeper. And Joe Hart, all in yellow, plays it short to Lagerbielke. Joe Hart defending the end. The Celtic fans are behind, off to our left. It's up in the air, it's Timber's header forward. Difficult one for Stengs to control, and it breaks Alistair Johnston's way as he sends the long ball up towards Maida, who again puts it out of play for a throw-in on this near side. 0-0.
He's definitely on, Maida. They've found him a number of times. He just can't quite get the ball under control. It's, you know, a high, loopy pass. It's taking forever to come down, but he is certainly on. When Celtic trying to build, they're trying to draw that press from Feyenoord, and when the ball goes from Lagerbielke to Johnston, Maida's on, but Matt O'Reilly just takes off because he knows the fullback's got to
given
get
away. Hatate, edge of the box, shoots, blocked by Trauner. What a chance that was again. And once again, it's an unforced error by Feyenoord. It's been littered so far, this performance from the Dutch champions, with that kind of mistake, and in really poor areas of the park as well.
Yeah, they're taking risks, and Celtic are managing to get the ball.
There's a chance, one through ball, could string Celtic up the other end. What a wonderful challenge that was from Johnston. Feyenoord come forward again. They were just about one-on-one at that point. Ivanusic playing it back the way to Timber. Square ball, gets it back immediately, shrugs off Maida, blocked by O'Reilly. Will come again, Hansko midway inside the Celtic half. Short ball to Hartman, who goes back towards the halfway line for Hansko. It was a really good opportunity there. I think it might have been Minty who was driving in behind, and but for Alistair Johnston, he was probably going to be in for a shot at Joe Hart's goal.
I think he still could have been. He chooses to pass. I think he needs to keep going. I think it's a let-off, and it's a good block from Alistair Johnston, but I expected Minty to take that through on his own, and it was a bit of a let-off. And the chance before for Hatate is because he's going to go and press the centre-back. They win the ball back, and in this occasion, he should pass to Kyogo. Kyogo's square of him, getting into the box, he's unmarked. He goes for the shot, and it's blocked at the edge of the box.
Big switch of play out to Minty over on the far side, but he can't control it, and it goes out for a Celtic throw-in. It is goalless here. It is still goalless in Rome. Luis Palma, incidentally, is sitting down on the ground as if he's picked up some kind of knock, so the Celtic medical team are coming on to make sure he's okay. Luis Palma was spotted, I think, was it a Honduran flag outside the ground? A Honduran top. Someone here to watch Luis Palma getting his first start tonight, having made his debut from the bench against Dundee at the weekend.
I didn't see what happened. I don't know. I don't remember him being in any tackles, so might suggest that is an issue, a muscle injury or something like that. You know, the physios come on when a player sits down and wants a physio to come on. Generally, it's not good news. So, you know, Brendan Rodgers will be hoping he gets up because they've worked on.
They're going to have to make the change, I think, by the looks of it. Someone's getting ready. I don't know if it'll be Yang. Would be the. He was certainly the one who came out of the team to be replaced by Palma. He might just be getting ready for a warm-up. We'll just keep an eye on that just now. Palma's gone off the pitch over on the far side, approaching the 20-minute mark. I think he's going to try and give it a go by the looks of things. And the game on again in just a moment.
It's quite far away, but he seems to be holding his face. I don't know if it's he's got a little knock in his face. It looks like he's getting ready to come back on. Yep. I know the subs are getting ready to warm up, but I don't know if he's got an issue with his face. Obviously it's far away and we don't have any monitors here.
Yeah, which is a pity, particularly when things go to the video assistant. As Joe Hart plays it short to Lagerbielke, and then he squares it inside his own box to Liam Scales. Scales taking it out from the penalty area, rolling it short to Hatate, back to Scales, goes back to his goalkeeper. And Hart scoops it forward with the left foot, flicked on by Kyogo. Behind it there was Trauner, he gives it straight back to Celtic, and it's a long ball by Greg Taylor. Maida chasing after it, and it's nodded back to the goalkeeper by Hartman. And Villenreuter has it in his hands as he plays it short to Hartman, who finds Timber, who goes back to Hansko. Approaching the end of the first quarter. Matchday 1, Champions League Group E. Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0. He's on this near side with Hartman. The wind's still gusting, the rain thankfully has gone off as Wiefer picks up and plays it short out to this left-hand side for Ivanušić. And now it's with Calvin Stengs, who's been asked to lead the line for Feyenoord tonight, albeit he, Minte and Paixão are alternating that in the absence of the two main strikers. It's played forward there, Feyenoord, little flick by Ivanušić, but it's come to nothing. And Daisen Maida elects to let that trickle out for a throw-in right down in front of us here in Kuip.
Yeah, Feyenoord had three players practically side by side there in the middle, and they're trying to play those little balls round the corner and not quite, coming off for them. And that, they are leaving three players on the Celtic back line, staying high and wide and trying to draw that press and catch Celtic, behind the midfield press when Hatate and O'Reilly are going to press centre-backs. Celtic have got some joy from it because they've been brave and they've won the ball back. The Hatate one where he should pass to Kyogo. But Feyenoord at times have managed to beat that press and then set up their attacks from the fact that Celtic are committing bodies forward. So it's interesting tactics from both managers, both teams, and it'll be interesting to see how that develops as the game goes on.
Celtic win it back in the midfield again. Here's Palma, who has shrugged off whatever that problem was that he had earlier. And it is with Lagerbielke, square to Scales. Liam Scales surveys the pitch ahead of him, elects to go back to Lagerbielke, he goes to Scales again. Looking pretty comfortable in possession, Scales, has to be said. Hatate, though, has had it nicked off him by Timber, who's now driving up towards the edge of the Celtic box. To the right-hand side of it for Stengs, breaks back to the edge of the area where Wiefer's weak efforts blocked on the 18-yard line. Still Feyenoord come again, though. Here's Wiefer. Short ball, then Ivanušić in the central area. Turns it to Hansko. This is the first real period of pressure that the Celtic defence has been put under in the last few minutes. We're into the second quarter of this one. It's Hansko with the left foot, rolls it out to this near side. Showing too much of it though was Minte to Johnston, who wins it back, and eventually comes off Johnston and out for a Feyenoord throw.
He just takes his eye off the ball, Johnston. He wins it back and he's looking at for Kyogo, look to see if he can find him. The ball just keeps running, and by the time he puts his head back down to look for the ball, it's out the park.
There's Hartman on this near side for Feyenoord, slips it forward, little flick from Ivanušić was good, but Minte couldn't get past the defender. Breaks the way of Calvin Stengs, the number 10, out wide right, two waiting in the middle, but the cross is dreadful from Paixão, and it goes behind for the goal kick to Celtic, and Brendan Rodgers will be delighted if he's seeing that all night. Really poor execution from Paixão, wide on the right-hand side of the Celtic box. Two were waiting, there were others arriving as well, and he gets it hopelessly wrong, and it stays Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, it was a poor cross. Feyenoord are trying to play through the middle of that Celtic backline, but they're forced to go wide, and when it comes out to Paixão, the cross is a dreadful one.
Yeah, Celtic giving it away at the back though, and a man down just to the left of the penalty area there. The Feyenoord fans baying for a penalty. It was Hartman who went down just to the left-hand side of the Celtic penalty area. Bloody nose apparently is the issue for Luis Palma. So James spotted that it might well have been a facial knock, but that is what the issue was. Celtic have it, long ball up towards the Feyenoord box for Maida. It's headed away though, comes back to the goalkeeper, and I'm not sure Wellenreuter was wanting that ball played back to him. Not sure it was what was intended. Needed to look lively to get to the edge of his area and clear. Bobbling around, it's a bit scrappy. We'd have to say it's a scrappy game of football, this 25 in 0-0, as Greg Taylor picks up in that inverted position in the midfield and give it away, but fortuitously it bounces back into Celtic possession, then back to Joe Hart at the edge of his box.
Yeah, it has been a game where, both teams obviously want to build, they want to take chances. Been a moments of sloppiness on the ball, maybe a forced pass or someone taking their eye off it from both sides. So you feel that, at some point one of these teams are going to capitalise on that mistake. And I have to say, at the minute, it looks like it's going to be Celtic. They look more, aggressive in the press, to force those issues in the right areas, to win it back in the defensive third for Feyenoord, for Celtic to go and exploit it.
Well, Feyenoord started the season losing the Super Cup to PSV 1-0. And it was a 0-0 draw here with Fortuna Sittard in the opening day of the league season. 2-2 with local rivals Sparta Rotterdam followed those two, but since then they've been running amok. 6-1, 5-1 and 6-1 again at the weekend against Heerenveen. And Celtic keeping them at arm's length so far in this Champions League opener. Trauner has at the edge of his own box. Short to his right for Gertruda, back to Trauner, goes back to his goalkeeper. And Vellenreuter plays it to Hansko, and they clear it out well. Hansko finds Hartmann, who gives it straight to O'Reilly, but it just bounced off the Danish under-21 international as Celtic couldn't control in the midfield, and Feyenoord have it back here with Wiever. Switches it to the right of the centre circle for Stengs, who's driving forward. He's such a powerhouse up towards the edge of the Celtic box. Rolls it to the right-hand side of it here for Minty. Then back to Stengs. Short ball there to Gertruda. Then back out wide right it comes. Celtic holding their line at the back here. And there's a shot at goal which goes over the crossbar. It was an ambitious one from over on that far side from Yankuba Minty. And that will be a goal kick to Celtic, and it will remain nothing each after almost 27 and a half.
Feyenoord claiming for a corner there. Must have taken a deflection. Obviously the referee's given the goal kick. But again, when Feyenoord are going, they've got every player in the Celtic half. Celtic really narrowing up, being compact, stopping those balls from being able to be played in between, centre back and full back, and they're really compact, forcing the ball wide. And in the occasions that Feyenoord have gone wide, the cross has been poor. That shot there, it's a great little drop of the shoulder.
Something here, by the way.
Might be that earlier one that they were claiming.
Yeah, VAR check. Yeah, play on. So whatever they were looking at, we don't have monitors, so we're not across exactly what they're reviewing. It was a penalty check, so quite probably that one when Hartmann went down just to the left-hand side of the penalty area. I'm not even sure he was in the box, or whether the referee even thought it was a foul. It was a handball, in fact, we're hearing. It's a handball, so it wasn't that incident. The handball against Greg Taylor. Anyway, it's been waved away by the referee, so Celtic breathe a sigh of relief. And they've got a free kick which is taken back to Scales, who finds Lagerbielke. Back to Scales. He's looked so assured in the last few matches, having had a difficult game against St Johnstone. The goalless draw. He looked a little bit nervy, but the games against Rangers and Dundee, he's looked. He's been playing with a swagger as well, and you can see that tonight so far. Taylor, first time ball, out wide left to Hatate, down the line for Palma. Celtic have three waiting in the middle here. Low ball into the box. O'Reilly turns it back to the 6-yard line towards Kyogo, but the goalkeeper gets down to hold on. Vellenreuter at the feet of Kyogo Furuhashi, and it stays Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0. But really good build-up play by the Scottish champions.
That's excellent. Matt O'Reilly's timing his runs, the decision making to make those runs is excellent, and his first touch is really good, trying to flash that across for Kyogo. The pass is brilliant into his feet, and Celtic, there is opportunity there. I spoke about Hatate when he drove, taking the shot. Maida when he came off the left, they reversed it wide, but there is opportunity for Celtic to go and play those little passes beyond that defensive line if they can just get their head up and believe that they can make those passes.
This place is quite quiet just now. It'll suit the Celtic players just fine, but Lagerbielke, poor touch. Stengs wins it back. Lagerbielke brings Stengs down, and Gustav Lagerbielke will be the first man into the referee's book. Yellow card for the Swedish centre-back, who'd got himself in all kinds of trouble there, and he brings his man down, and that'll be a free kick to Feyenoord and a yellow for Lagerbielke. Yeah,
it's two poor decisions from Lagerbielke. The ball's coming to him, he takes his eye off it, it hits his standing foot and rolls away from him, and then he goes and goes to ground. It's good skill from Stengs, does a little turn, but he cannot go to ground there, Lagerbielke. He's put himself in all sorts of trouble, and it's just two moment lapses in concentration.
Free kick Feyenoord then. Couple over it. And it's going to be taken by Stengs, left-footed into the box, headed away by Scales. The ball's then hoisted back towards the left-hand side of the D for Stengs. He loses out to Maida. It was a heavy touch. Now Maida's on his bike, driving down the right-hand side. Dies in Maida, then he just meekly kind of gives it to Trauner. Can you do him with a bit of support there, I think, down this right-hand side. He's no slouch, clearly, Daisen Maeda, but he didn't ever look like he was beating his man on that occasion.
Yeah, he was too fast for support. You know, it was a quick break from Maeda. He takes one heavy touch that forces him wide because he'd already went past two, and then you're coming up against Hansko, who you think he's got the beating of in pace.
Here comes Stengs, driving down the left-hand side, just playing it short to Ivanušić. Challenged by Johnston's a good one again. It's been an excellent acquisition for Celtic as Alistair Johnston. As Hatate with the left foot trying to work it out to the left-hand side for Palma. It's covered by Geertruida, out for a throw-in to Celtic over on the far side, just inside Feyenoord territory. It's bowled back by Taylor to Scales. Here's Lagerbielke. Just escaped that nervy moment that he had there. Atletico Madrid, incidentally, 1-0 up in Rome against Lazio. And it's a Barrios goal. Lazio 0, Atletico Madrid 1 in the other game in Group E tonight. Goalless here in Rotterdam. Celtic have it with O'Reilly, left-footed clip ball out to the left-hand side for Palma, who was surely fouled there. No, the referee's happy with it. Geertruida's challenge, and he's coming up to the edge of the box, flicks it with the outside of the boots, going to get it back as he tries to work the 1-2. Geertruida in the Celtic box, crosses in towards the 6-yard area, headed behind by Scales for the corner. And the referee, again, has had a look up at his assistant, who is flagging for offside.
Yeah, I think that Palma's looking for that as it comes in. He knows there's going to be a little bit of contact, goes down potentially too easy there. The referee's got a great view of it and doesn't obviously give the foul, but Feyenoord showing they've got a bit of pace in that attacking area.
Poor ball by Joe Hart. He took the free kick, clipping it out towards Johnston, but it goes straight into touch. Feyenoord have it. And it's Hansko into the midfield for Timbert, back to his goalkeeper. And Vellenreuter playing it short there to Wiefer. Returns, long ball, right-footed down that far side. Trying to keep it in play is Paixão. Driving towards a more central area. Scales gets there first though. And he goes back to his goalkeeper. And still goalless here. It's been a good performance by Celtic up to press. Here is Callum McGregor trying to control, losing out to Stengs though. Is there a chance from distance? And Joe Hart is to tip it over the crossbar. Fabulous effort by Minty. Hart was pretty comfortable making the save though as it goes behind for the corner, but it's a signal of intent from Feyenoord at last.
Yeah, it was comfortable right down the throat of Joe Hart. Just tips it over, and what leads up into the chance, the ball goes to Lagerbielke from Joe Hart. He just puts it up the park. You then see both Joe Hart and Alistair Johnston telling him to open up and maybe play it wide instead of inviting that pressure by just, you know, kicking the ball up the park as far as you can.
Corner's taken short. An opportunity to cross as it's moved towards the angle of the box. And then Ivanušić with a misunderstanding passes it straight behind for the goal kick. And once again, Celtic absolutely delighted with that as we approach the final 10 minutes of the first half at 0-0. This is Johnston who's on it just now. Rolls it back the way to Lagerbielke. And then Scales picks up square ball. Back to Lagerbielke. In an assured display by Celtic. Out to the left for Taylor. Side football up towards the halfway line, looking for Palma, who is challenged and he can't control, and it goes out for a Feyenoord throw-in. Which is bowled in field to Trauner. Trauner square ball to Hansko. Into the centre circle for Timber. Back to Hansko. And short out to this near side for Hartman, who goes back to Trauner. And he in turn goes back to his goalkeeper. So 35 on the clock. Sports Sound here, BBC Radio Scotland on Extra, on 810 medium wave, on digital and online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. Celtic's first Champions League game of the season. They're frustrating the Dutch champions here. There's a free kick's been given and a yellow card's been shown to Callum McGregor this time. He's appealing his innocence. Feyenoord wanted to play the advantage there, but the referee wanted to do his paperwork, and that once again annoys the home supporters.
No wonder. Callum McGregor gets caught wrong side. He ends up trying to make it look like he can't get up, and Feyenoord are on the break, and you know, you hear the noise in here when the referee blows the whistle. He should let that play on, but you're right, he wants to go and give Callum McGregor his yellow card for stopping a promising attack, and the irony is that it's the referee that stops the promising attack. Should have let play go on there.
Long ball, Feyenoord. Stengs at the edge of the Celtic penalty box, turns and passes it into the box, but it's cut out by Johnston, who gets it back from O'Reilly, and he clips it forward, but it's all pretty aimless there from Celtic, albeit Hansco's giving it away this time. He's the centre back. That means there's space at the other end as Maida drives forward, trying to get between the defender and the goal. He shoots and it's saved. Vellentrointer throws himself to the right to put it behind for a Celtic corner. What a wonderful counter-attacking move that was.
That's excellent from Maida. Hatate picks the ball up, plays it wide. Maida's got the run on Hartman. He does well to get back Hartman, but Maida managed to shake him off, and it's a good hit with his left foot. Just sliding along the ground there, forcing the save, looking to see if it could maybe drop to Kyogo.
Taking the short corner, Palma picks up, drives it into the box, cut out, comes back to Palma. He's got a second chance at this, lifted in by O'Reilly, but he's annoyed with himself as he clips his cross over the bar and behind for a Feyenoord goal kick, with 8 to go until half-time at 0-0.
Yeah, he's just trying the side volley there, Matt O'Reilly, to fire that back into the area. Just comes off the top of his foot and goes high and spins high and wide beyond the goalkeeper. Not in any trouble, but it was a great chance for Maida. I thought again, could he look for the pass to Kyogo, but he takes a really good effort at goal.
Ivanušić collecting on this near side, the Croatian across halfway, faced by Maida, moves infield, right foot clip ball into a central area, Stengs heads it back, he too gives it away. Here is Palma rolling it out to the left hand side for Taylor, first time ball in, Hatate looks up, sees what's ahead of him, it's his countrymen Kyogo and Maida, turns back the way under pressure though, rolls it out to that left hand side for Palma, gets it back from McGregor, down the left hand touchline for Taylor's level with the 18-yard line, low ball, Palma inside the area, drops the shoulder, but it just gets away from him. And Feyenoord get it away, and that'll be a foul by Johnston. And a free kick to Feyenoord, that takes the pressure off. 38 on the clock, James, 0-0. And you just think right now that Feyenoord in the second half can't be any worse than they've been in the first half. So what the Celtic fans, what Brendan Rodgers will be wanting is his team to capitalise on the fact that Feyenoord haven't turned up to the party yet.
Yeah, and they've had opportunity. I mean, that one again, it's a great pass from Greg Taylor into the feet of Palma, who's in the box, and it looks like he always wants to go on the right foot there. I think if he steps across and then drags it onto the left, the space is opened up. But Celtic are certainly getting into dangerous areas, and you're right, Brendan Rodgers and the players on the pitch will feel that they have to make that pay at some point, because Feyenoord, when they get in the half-time, they will have a chance to regroup and maybe adjust how they're trying to build and how they're trying to draw Celtic into that press, because Celtic have managed to deal with that really well, and they've got themselves in good opportunities. Another thing about Feyenoord, when they've gone forward, they do look dangerous, but they've made some poor decisions. You know, they've looked to knock it back when they can drive forward. Thinking about the Minte one, where they can drive into the box and he looks for the pass. So we spoke them up before the game about being this clinical team that score goals, but in actual fact they haven't looked that dangerous. They've looked like they can get into dangerous areas, but they've not used the ball well at all.
Well, they've got a man down. The Feyenoord fans wanted a free kick deep inside the Celtic half. The referee disagreed, and it's with Matt O'Reilly stretching his legs, playing it to Johnston, shrugs off his man up to halfway. Johnston's overhit his pass, I think, for Maida, who'll not give it up, chasing it towards the byline, and Hansco sees it behind for the goal kick, and it will remain 0-0 here.
He's overhit the pass and he's played it too early. It's really good play from Matt O'Reilly in the midfield. Johnson drives, steps into the play beyond, you know, the Feyenoord midfield, and then he's got a chance to potentially create a 2v1 with Maida, and he plays the ball too early. He's got space to drive into. Just keep going, drive, try and commit a defender, then look for that gap. We know how quick Maida is, but it's a tough ball, a hard ball for him to go on the end of.
The rain once again swirling around here in Rotterdam, in the south of the Netherlands. Celtic more than holding their own in this first half. Here come the Dutch champions though. Left-footed long ball, Hartman with the switch out to the right-hand side of the box. It's headed away by Taylor, picked up by O'Reilly. He's been superb in this first half, as is Alistair Johnston over on this near side. That's where Palma goes, but it's just going to skip away from Johnston. He's kept it in play, as he's done really well. Maida thought had gone out, he just stopped and he's had it pinched off him, and Hartman will drive forward looking to make Maida pay. Up to the edge of the box he shoots, and it's wide. He had options as well, and he was selfish. I think it's taken a touch on its way though, and we'll go behind for the corner. But Daisen Maeda simply stopped there, and he's really lucky that Feyenoord haven't capitalised on it. They may still do from this corner kick here with 4 to the break, 0-0.
That's incredible. Alistair Johnston does brilliant. It's a crossfield pass from Palma. It looks like it's going to go out, but Alistair Johnston does really well to keep it in. He actually finds Maeda. He just controls the ball, allows Hartman to drive forward, and then Alistair Johnston's the one that has to get back. We speak about Maeda's work rate and how hard he works for the team, but he just stops and argues with the assistant referee that it's a throw-in. Just keep playing.
Corner, Feyenoord, off to our left. And it comes right-footed. Clip ball in from Paixão, and there's a header, which is well over. In the end, I think Wiefer was the man who got on the end of that. It's over the crossbar, goal kick Celtic, and it remains goalless here in the Kuip. Bouncing ball will come to Paixão, overhead. Ball out to this left-hand side for Ivanušić. Taking on Johnston, onto the right foot, looking for some space, rolls it back towards Wiefer. It evades him though. And Luis Palma will pick up on that left-hand side and turns it back to Taylor. And then to Scales. And back to Joe Hart, who plays it short to Scales again, ticking closer to half-time here. It is with McGregor. Back into his own box for Lagerbielke, who finds Johnston on the right. Then back to Gustav Lagerbielke, to Scales. Scales with a side foot ball into the midfield. It's cut out. It's a poor one from Scales this time. It's now with Paixão. He's looking for support, goes for goal himself. It's high and wide from the Brazilian. He's annoyed he's not got that closer to the target. It will be a goal kick to Celtic, and it will remain nothing each.
It's a straight ball from Scales into midfield that's cut out, and when you play passes like that, they have to be so precise, because you're not moving midfielders or defenders anywhere. Everything's in front. They can step straight onto it, and if they anticipate it, then they're favourites to win it, because you've got a midfielder potentially with his back to play, waiting for that ball to come in, and it is a risky pass, but Celtic get away with it.
Throwing Celtic over on that left-hand side. Taylor to Scales and back to Hart. He's at that one save to make, and he tipped the Minte shot over the crossbar. He's probably looked Feyenoord's most likely to get in the score sheet so far, or create something. The man on loan from Newcastle as Johnston is brought down by Hartman down on this near side. And Maeda takes the quick free kick back to Lagerbielke.
It's great skill from Johnston. Ball's cut out with Joe Hart in the area. He just takes a touch, draws Hartman in and flicks it over his head and gets the foul.
It's a right good player, isn't he, Johnston?
Brilliant.
Really good acquisition.
You just see how much he enjoys it as well, the challenge. He comes up against it, happy to go 1v1, happy to take the ball and start these attacks as well.
There's Johnston on the near side. It's an argument, by the way, to say that this is Celtic's best display of the season so far.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be far off. I think there's still, elements where they're a bit wasteful in possession. Maybe take an extra touch and don't have to force it so much. But yeah, I think this has been their best performance so far.
Obviously up against a higher standard of opponent than they normally are. Johnston tries to win it back. Timber hits the deck, and that's a free kick to Feyenoord down on this near side. We're deep in the final minute of the 45. There'll be a couple of minutes added on at the end. There was the injury to Luis Palma to get his nose fixed. As Feyenoord pick up here with Wiefer in the midfield, rolls it out to this left-hand side for Hartman, and he in turn goes back to Hansko. 3 minutes added on at the end of the first half, and we're about to go into that now. It is Feyenoord in possession. Stengs over on the right-hand side. Good footwork up against Scales. Stengs down the line. Picked up here by Minte. Skipping infield. Scales tries to stick with him. Minte rolls it back to Gertruda on that right-hand side. And now it's with Wiefer. Forward to Timber, who goes down. Free kick. Foul by O'Reilly, says the referee, who was the best placed of anyone inside the stadium for that incident. And Feyenoord have a free kick. And Celtic, how often do Celtic do this to domestic opponents? When you think you're in a game with them, they then sucker you right on half-time. That is exactly what Celtic are trying to avoid here, as Feyenoord prepare to take this free kick about 30 yards from the Celtic goal.
Yeah, it's a fair distance out, I have to say, but you just never know, do you?
Windy.
Yeah, you never know, and it's such a shame, because they have played so well in this first half. But We spoke about being clinical. We spoke about defending well and doing the basics very well. This is a chance now for Feyenoord, albeit it is a fair distance out.
Atletico Madrid continue to lead in Rome against Lazio 1-0. Here in Rotterdam, goalless, but Feyenoord have this free kick opportunity here. A couple of men over it as well. Here it comes, left-footed towards Hart's goal. It's gone in! Joe Hart's been beaten. Calvin Steng's free kick evades Hart's grasp. Similar to those free kicks that Lee Griffiths beat him with at Hampden when he was keeping goal for England against Scotland. A massive blow for Celtic on half-time. Calvin Steng scores 30 yards from goal he was, and it's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. A body blow for the Scottish champions.
That's a huge blow. I think Joe Hart's looking at his wall and asked him to be tight. I don't know if it's gone through it. He definitely gets gloves to it, Joe Hart, but he can't keep it out. I don't think it's a brilliantly struck free kick. It bounces just before it. Joe Hart helps it into the net almost, but it is a hammer blow for Celtic. They've played so well. We spoke about not giving any encouragement to Feyenoord, trying to capitalise on the chances that Celtic had. But we spoke about this before the game. You have to take your chances when they come along. You have to make sure that you punish Feyenoord. They haven't been able to do it. In a free kick from 30 yards, I would love to see it again, but my instinct is that Joe Hart shouldn't be beaten from there.
Calvin Steng's second goal of the season, and Celtic find themselves behind here in Rotterdam on the stroke of half-time. A real hammer blow for them, and really Feyenoord getting out of jail because they've not turned up at all, yet here they are, they lead. And it's just so punishing at times, this competition. Celtic have one or two opportunities in the box, most notably Dyson Maida when he forced the save from Vellentreuter. And that Steng's goal has whipped the Feyenoord fans into a frenzy again, and the challenge is a different one for Celtic.
But it's important that they accept the challenge, because they have played well. They've shown that they can dominate the ball. They've showed they can create chances, and it has been a free kick that's cost them, but they can still get back into the game, no doubt about it.
Well, they're only one down. They played well, but they're 1-0 down at the break. The Bosnian referee sounding the half-time whistle after a first half of real promise, you would have to say. They haven't had loads of chances, Celtic, but this is the story of their Champions League campaign last time around, when they played pretty well by and large in that group, yet only emerged with 2 points. Well, you see the Celtic players, some of them with their heads down as they troop up the tunnel on this near side. That Steng's free kick after O'Reilly gave it away, 30 yards from goal he was. Somehow he's beaten Joe Hart to the goalkeeper's left, to the right of the goal as Steng's aimed at it, and he's given the Dutch champions the lead. That after Hart had made a save earlier on from Minte, the man on loan from Newcastle. A couple of long-range things which went high and wide, no problems for the Celtic goalkeeper at that point. And that Maida chance coming on 37 minutes when he was slipped through, drove in on goal, but his effort low towards the bottom left corner was saved by the keeper, as the former Rangers manager Giovanni van Bronckhorst, who's a Feyenoord legend, walks down the touchline to take his place on the panel on Dutch television tonight. His old club leading here, Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0.
Feyenoord versus Celtic. Celtic in the Champions League, live on Sportsound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Getting to the heart of the stories making the news.
News from Scotland, the UK and around the world.
The issues that matter to us all.
The stories that just have to be told.
Listen across the day on BBC Sounds.
Or play BBC Radio Scotland.
So a crushing end to the first 45 minutes there for Celtic, as Calvin Stengs curls home the free kick to give the Dutch side the advantage at the break. It's Lazio 0, Atletico Madrid 1 in the other game in the group. That's also half-time. Pablo Barrios with the goal for the visitors. Earlier in Group F, Milan 0, Newcastle United 0, a full-time scoreline. And also in that group at half-time, PSG 0, Dortmund 0. In Group G, the full time from earlier was Young Boys 1, Leipzig 3. And in the other game in that group, just gone half time, Manchester City 0, Red Star Belgrade 1. Osman Bukhari with the goal right on the stroke of half time. In fact, just as Celtic were conceding, so too did Manchester City. In Group H, it's Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Porto 3 at half time. And Barcelona 3-0 up against Antwerp at the interval. They were 3-0 up indeed within half an hour in that game. In fact, much less, within 25 minutes. João Felix with the first, Lewandowski the second, Bataille with an own goal to make it 3. So Barcelona already look to be in firm command of that game. We'll hear more from James McFadden shortly. Let's get the thoughts of Aidan McGeady, who's been with us for the first 45 minutes as a player. Given the performance they put in the opening first 45 minutes or so, Aidan, that must be really hard to take.
Yeah, it's almost altered everything I was going to say at half time with that goal just before the interval. I think Celtic, it's been a pretty even game. I think Feyenoord have had some half chances. Celtic have had probably more clear-cut chances. Celtic have been very compact, out of possession. Ultimately, I think obviously the free kick, I look back at it and Joe Hart's moaning at the wall. I think Joe Hart has to do better with the free kick. I mean, that's if I'm Brendan Rodgers, I'm unhappy at the way the man of the goals went in.
Yeah.
But
looking at the wall lead in there, because absolutely, I think everyone would say yeah, because Joe Hart gets there, but he doesn't get a hand in it. It kind of almost just evades his fingertips. But if you watch, there was one angle that shows it pretty well. Kyogo actually turns his body away, and the ball it goes round him, doesn't it? If he stays square on, he probably blocks it. Possibly.
But if Joe Hart, if any goalkeeper manages to get a hand to it's different if it goes over the wall. That went round the wall, so yeah. I'd expect my goalkeeper to save that. Not digging Joe Hart out here, but I'd expect my goalkeeper to save that. But goal aside, I think Celtic have played well. The things I'd like to see is, I think Celtic have been contradictory to what I said before the game. Celtic have been quite defensively solid and not massively expansive with the ball. I think there's mistakes if Celtic press higher up the pitch. In the final defence, I think there's mistakes there. I think they could get the ball higher up the pitch. I think they're sitting back a little bit too deep. But if you go in at half time 0-0, then it's a different game. Obviously now there's a challenge on Celtic's hands at the second half. I would like to see Hatate and O'Reilly. I mean, defensively they're doing great, but I would like to see them in more advanced positions, receiving the ball and having more of a goal threat, or feeding Palma, or feeding Maeda, or feeding Kyogo. Because I think it's always going to be that way away from home in the Champions League. You're always going to be playing slightly defensive on the back foot, but I think that's the key to Celtic getting back in this game. I guess it's a fine balancing act, isn't it? You do want to try to ensure that you're preventing the opposition, and they're top-class opposition, from cutting through you. But you lose something with O'Reilly and Hatate being a bit deeper. Yeah, you definitely lose something, and that's obviously that was the manager's game plan. I think it's been implemented pretty well so far. The one thing I'd be wary of, obviously, is if you do go and press, which will probably happen now. I think the second half, Feyenoord can cut you open, but there's nothing that I've seen from the Feyenoord team aside from maybe the right winger Minty, who I think looks the biggest threat. There's been nothing that I've seen that suggested that Feyenoord are a top class opposition. That Celtic have been the better team, I think, and that's away from home as well. So the second half will be interesting because it's going to open up a lot more. You've seen towards the end of the first half, Feyenoord had a couple of half chances. If there was better decision making, then could have resulted in goals or chances. But I'd like to see Celtic be a bit more adventurous going forward. Look, like I said, I'm contradicting probably what I said before the game. Yeah. A 0-0 or a draw away from home in your first Champions League game could be deemed as a good result. Now Celtic have to come out and they have to try and get back in this game.
But, I mean, you're saying you're contradicting yourself, but you're doing so because you've seen how the game has been flowing. You've seen the respective strengths on the evening, at least, of the two sides, and that's what makes you feel that Celtic could actually be pushing a bit further up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is because I was expecting Feyenoord with, like you see the stats and you see the way they've been playing in the domestic league, how many goals they've been scoring, but obviously this is a different level. They've not cut Celtic open once, I don't think, through good play. It's been through mistakes and individual errors, and Celtic are playing more counter-attacking football here. Feyenoord have slightly more possession, but there's been nothing to suggest that Celtic have been cut through at any point. No. So I think, listen, I'm not the manager for a reason, but I'm just seeing here this chance here with Hatate where he maybe could have slipped Kyogo in. That's Celtic's decision making as well. Could have resulted in Celtic winning 1-0 at half time or 2-0 at half time, and it's a completely different perspective on the game.
Yeah, they were helped a bit. I mean, Feyenoord were actually fairly slack on occasions. There were a couple of openings, certainly for Hatate and then for Maeda, just to clear up a couple of the incidents for the commentary team, who must be tough trying to work out what VAR are doing when they haven't actually given you a screen to see around. But it was actually the Minte shot where he should have got a corner. There was a clear deflection. The deflection actually was off the outside of Greg Taylor's arm, but they had a quick look at that and decided no penalty. Yeah. And the other one was when Palma went down. I'm not surprised they were confused. Eventually, I mean, they talked about getting treatment for a bloody nose. There didn't seem to be an awful lot in that one, I think it's fair to say. Aidan, would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think there was much in it, and I think there would have to be a lot more in it for it to be overturned.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what have you made then of Palma? First 45 minutes you've seen of him playing on the left, Maeda on the right.
Yeah. Listen, look, he showed glimpses. Listen, I know what it's like. It's his first start. It's in the Champions League. There could be nerves there. He's a young guy. I would like to see. I prefer Maeda on the left, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I prefer Maeda on the left. For all he gives you going back the pitch, his pace and obviously his final ball can sometimes be erratic. But him cutting in on his right, he's more of a goal threat. Palma, I think he's shown glimpses. I think there's maybe some nerves there, but I think he could be more positive. And the chances that he's had where he's been one-on-one with the fullback, I don't know if he's got the confidence yet at the minute to drive at the fullback, and maybe that comes from, say, Greg Taylor behind him, like encouraging him, the manager encouraging him at half-time, his players, his teammates, sorry. I'd like to see a little bit more directness from him, because he seems to be coming in and facing up the fullback and then looking for a pass almost. He's a couple of nice bits of play, but yeah, it's obviously it's early days. It's early days to be making a judgment on a player off one start.
Right, James, just a couple of thoughts then from you before we head back to you guys for the commentary. We had a chance to reflect on it. Brendan Rodgers would have been very, very satisfied up until 2 minutes into stoppage time, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would have. I think that they've certainly, looked a threat. Celtic at times, they haven't been gung-ho, and as Aidan was saying, they've been really compact and forcing the ball wide. And the goal they lose, I mean, you can lose goals, of course, from free kicks, and sometimes it does take something, special. But I don't think the free kick was a special free kick. It didn't look like there was a great deal of height. I think that Joe Hart would have got a good sight of it as well, as he scrambles across his left-hand side. But
he may just felt at the time it was disappointing. I know you've not seen a replay yet, James, and it's difficult from where you guys are. But actually, he's probably doesn't have just quite as good a look at it as you might first have imagined, just because of the way the ball curls round the wall, and actually Kyogo kind of turns away from it. So yeah, there may be some defence to be put up for the keeper, but he's across there, and you're expecting your keeper, a keeper of Joe Hart's quality,
I've actually
to
just got a chance to see it there, right. And I didn't feel like it was a great strike, but you're maybe looking for one to be bent over the wall into the top corner, one a goalkeeper can't save, but there is a decent amount of power on it that does make it skid. It's flat, it's difficult then for the goalkeeper to get across, but I still think that if you're getting gloves on it, you can keep it out. It was just a disappointment because the play was so good. At times Celtic were making a few unforced errors, a bit slack in the passing, but I think in general the shape was good, they were solid, they were compact, they were offering a threat going forward, and I just felt getting to half time, Liam was speaking about, you know, getting a goal, but I think getting to half time at 0-0 and how they played and actually limiting Feyenoord to, you know, shots from outside the box or shots from wide where they could maybe cross, some poor crossing attempts from Feyenoord. They did look as if they had that pace to go forward. Their decision making probably wasn't great, but I think that Celtic were more than competitive in that half, and getting in at half time there could have been those tweaks. Maybe it could be that Maida comes over to the left hand side and Palma has a shot over on the right. There could have been things that Celtic could have done better at times, whether it's Palma coming in off the left, Hatate, just keep driving. Maida on occasion, just keep driving towards the centre. It was almost like they were in a rush to reverse that ball wide and then create the opportunity from a wide area, even though the space had opened up. So there was a lot of positives for Celtic, and I think it would have just been, well, clearly so much better to begin in at 0-0. Then you're making tweets from a position of strength, but I still maintain that they've nothing to be fearful. I don't think that they say, right, that's the game done now, Feyenoord have scored and Celtic can't get back. Celtic can score. They've shown that they're a threat, they can score. So they have to keep that confidence, that level of composure they've shown at times to go and cause problems for Feyenoord, because they're still in this game. There is no doubt they're still in this game.
Still in the game, but it's a fine margin, I guess. Aidan, did they come out and try to push further up right from the start? Did they bed into this second half? How would you approach it for the first little while until you get a feel for it?
I think they approached the game, the start of the second half, the way they did the first half. The first 10-15 minutes, Celtic were the dominant team. The game ebbed and flowed, and there was half chances here and there for both teams, but Celtic did have chances, and I think if you, like James said, from a position of strength at half time, if it's 0-0, it's a different game. But I think at some point Celtic are going to have to come out, which then might leave gaps for Feyenoord on the counter attack, because you've seen already the first half they've got players up there with pace. Celtic have defended well, but I'd expect Celtic to come out and properly have a go this second half. I hope that they keep it compact and wait for their opportunity to get back in the game. But no doubt about it, like James said, Celtic are massively still in this game. It's 1-0, and I've not seen anything from Feyenoord so far that would make me worried.
Players are back out. Yeah, players are back out. We're going to head back for live commentary. Incidentally, just seen the goal that has given Red Star Belgrade the lead at half-time. The look of utter surprise, almost shock on the face of the Red Star player who scored told its own story. What a scoreline that is. 1-0 for Red Star. Remember, it is Lazio 0, Atletico Madrid 1 in Celtic's group. They trail 1-0 to Feyenoord as we head back to James McFadden and Liam McLeod.
Thanks, Richard. The 12th Champions League group stage campaign for Celtic. They've come out of the group 3 times from the previous 11 before losing in the last 16 to Milan in 07, Barcelona in 08 and Juventus in 13 respectively. Overall group stage record played 66-1, 18 as they look to try and fight back from behind here against the Eredivisie champions in this country, Feyenoord. And they kick off. It's their 6th go at the Champions League groups. No changes for either team. No change in the weather really either. Celtic switching ends, of course, and will go right to left in their change colours. In a lime green and grey shirts as Feyenoord in the red and black attack early in the second half, looking for a goal early in the second half as well. Headed away by Johnston and then picked up here by Gertruda, and he rolls it back into his own half for Hansko, who turns it back to his goalkeeper. Kyogo chasing him down, but released by Vellenreuter out to this near side for his captain Trauner. Celtic then with Hart in goal. Johnston, Lagerbielke, Scales, Taylor, O'Reilly, McGregor, Hatate, Maidan, Palma and Kyogo. Both Lagerbielke and McGregor were booked in that first half.
Just on the free kick, you know, having a chance to have a quick look at it, and I know that, you know, the criticism ultimately comes down to the goalkeeper, but if you put a 4-man wall up and it goes through the wall, then the goalkeeper, I can guarantee Joe Hart would have had a go whoever it was that turned their back. They have to stay big, because if it goes through, then he's expecting the ball to do its job, and he's looking for a ball maybe coming over the top, but because it's low and it is hit with power and it skids off the ground, then it is a difficult one for Joe Hart having a chance, you know, to see it properly. So I do feel for him, and I say it again, if you put a wall up, you have to stand big, you have to let the ball hit you, especially when the ball's hit at that height.
Hatate losing out in the midfield. It's back with Trauner, and then here Truda goes back to his goalkeeper. And Vellenreuter plays it short to Hansko. Both teams just feeling their way back into the game here after the turnaround. Trauner playing it to his right for here Truda, steps in field and then rolls it to Hansko. And keep you up to date as we go along with goings on at the Stadio Olimpico. Lazio 0, Atletico Madrid 1. The other game in the group tonight. Here Truda up to the goal scorer Stengs on this near side, faced by McGregor, across the halfway line, skips in field, big tall powerful figure, and he slips it to the left hand side. Chance here to cross, Hartman right across the face of goal, no takers, still alive, pulled back, cleared by O'Reilly though, and out for a throw-in on this near side for the hosts. One of their best moves of the match.
Yeah, that's what we were expecting Feyenoord to start like. Get the ball, switch of play quick, and the ball's fired across and managed to keep it alive, and Celtic do deal with it. I think the wind's picked up and the rain's certainly come on. It's a little bit colder as well, so conditions will be tricky as the game goes on.
Here's Minte, right hand side of the Celtic box, low ball in, is cut out by O'Reilly again. Good job at both ends of the pitch, Matt O'Reilly. Here come Feyenoord again. Minte wide in the right, again he moves in field, runs into Taylor though. Taylor reacts well, but Palma's touch was heavy and it's bounced off him last, and out for a Feyenoord throw-in on the near side. I do wonder how much or how long into the second half Luis Palma's going to last.
Yeah, it's a tough shift because you're having to go and do so much defensively and then offer that threat going forward as well. It is difficult, his first start as well. I mean, he's obviously in good condition because he wouldn't start the game if Brendan Rodgers didn't think he could do it, but it's still a tough shift.
There's a long ball in behind Liam Scales. Minte giving chase, right hand side of the penalty area. Minte cuts onto the left foot, looking to shoot, blocked though by Scales. It spins out to the left hand side of the pitch, chance to cross, fired or fizzed across the 6-yard area and out on the reverse side for a throw in to Celtic down by the corner flag on the Celtic left as they go right to left in this second half. But it's been all about Feyenoord in the opening few minutes of the second.
Yeah, they've started the second half well, and you said it during the first half, you know, the managers certainly wouldn't have been happy with how they've played. You know, they score from a free kick but hadn't really caused too many problems to Celtic defensively, so yeah, I expected a reaction because we were expecting so much more from Feyenoord in that first half.
It's back with their goalkeeper at the edge of his own box, put under pressure though, he and Hansko by Maida. Back it comes to the keeper who clears under pressure from Kyogo, and now Feyenoord come again with here Truda starting the move, and it's moved from his right hand side out to the left. Chance to attack the Celtic box here, the overlap from Hartman who pulls it across, cut out on the 6-yard line. Celtic hanging on a little bit here at the start of the second half. Some really dangerous balls being played in from the left and from the right by the home team, and it's now with Vifer in the midfield. Rolls it to the left for Hansko, down that far side. Hartman is out there. Chip ball to the edge of the box is knocked away by Celtic. It's only half away though. Johnston trying to put the challenge in on the far side, and he's done really well. Gets between the man and the ball and is able to get it clear. And it's eventually out off a Feyenoord boot. Hartman for a Celtic throw-in.
Yeah, they've upped the tempo, Feyenoord. When the ball goes wide, they're just flashing it across the box, making Celtic defend. First half, they were maybe taking touch, cutting back inside, trying to look for that perfect opening, but they're just attacking at speed now.
1-0 Feyenoord, 50.5 on the clock. And it's going to be a free kick to Celtic, just right of the centre circle.
Matt O'Reilly looking for a yellow card there, and he's got every right because Maida's turned and he's just held back.
Here's Palma in space, wide in the left for Celtic. Attacking the Feyenoord box, gets the overlap from Taylor, skips in field instead, shoots for goal, and the keeper throws himself to the left and beats it away, Vellenreuter.
That's good play from Palma. Down that left-hand side, cutting onto the right, goes for the shot. I think the goalkeeper, he opts to punch it, could potentially catch it, but it's still positive for Celtic.
Celtic have it with Scales. They can certainly get at this Feyenoord defence. They don't look particularly comfortable. They have been, as much as they've been scoring goals recently, they don't keep many clean sheets. As Wiefer picks up and rolls it to the left, where it is picked up by Ivanušić. And up towards the halfway line. There's a chance here for Timber to try and slip it through. He very nearly did as well. Almost got it through the pie shout.
He did, but it was brilliant from Liam Scales. He reads it and he takes a huge risk, but he reads it brilliantly, steps in and stops that attack.
Palma rolling it to the underlapping McGregor. He's not going to find him though. And Wiefer gets between the ball and McGregor and shields it behind for the goal kick to the home team, who lead this game by 1-0.
Yeah, I think Callum McGregor was laying that wide to allow Palma to go and maybe cut inside and made the run to create the space. I don't think he was looking for the ball back. It's a heavy pass from Palma and it's well marshalled by Wiefer.
Manchester City level, incidentally. Julian Alvarez cancelling out that Red Star goal in the first half, which had them in front at half-time in Group G. Here in Group E, 1-0 Atletico at Lazio and 1-0 Feyenoord here against Celtic, as it's played forward by Hansko. And Wiefer flicks it out to that left-hand side for Ivanušić. The Celtic tackle comes in and out for a throw-in to Feyenoord over on the far side. And it's Hartmann going back to Hansko. And he in turn goes back to his keeper. It's not a great touch, and Kyogo almost managed to challenge him. It does break Palma's way inside the box. Goes down. The Celtic fans howl for a penalty. The referee says no way. He's got his arms outstretched. You can see the Celtic supporters are beating the Perspex up in the standoff to our left there as they look for the penalty. And I don't think there was any question that Palma's getting a penalty for that.
No, it's not a penalty, but he needs to get his head up. He's got Maida making a run in the box. If he just gets his head up and flashes it a square pass, then Maida's got a chance to put the ball in the back of the net. But it's brilliant from Kyogo to put pressure on the goalkeeper and force that mistake, because he is taking time when the ball comes back to him.
At the other end, it is Feyenoord with Gertruda. Plays it back to Wiefer, then onto the halfway line. It's with Trauner. Everyone bar the Feyenoord keeper in the Celtic half right now. It's played back to Trauner, who's on the halfway line. Short ball there to Gertruda, goes back to his keeper. But again, another sign that Celtic can get in behind, and they cannot afford to concede another. And here come Feyenoord with Stengs after it was pushed back to him really excellently by Minte. He's going to get it back here, right hand side of the Celtic box. In comes the cross, knocked clear. Liam Scales with the challenge, just as it looked as though Paixão was going to be in for a header at goal. Wiefer, long ball, hangs in the wind, drops to Minte, controls it well, into the box he moves, left hand side, on the right hand side with the left foot to the left hand side of the box now, where it's pulled back towards the 6-yard area and cleared by Liam Scales. They're defending quite deeply there, Celtic.
They're having to, because every time they step up, the ball's played long, either up the sides or diagonal, because they're holding their width. Minte is on the right hand side, he's just holding his width and he's on, because Celtic are compact and they're trying to squeeze. When they do, that pass is on, and Feyenoord are finding it in this second half.
3 times in 11 attempts Celtic have come through their group. Feyenoord just the once in their previous 5, back in the days when there was a second group stage after the first. As Palma wins the throw-in on this near side. Feyenoord think it should have gone the other way, and it's going to be Taylor to bowl it back to Scales. These two one-time winners of the European Cup. Feyenoord winning theirs against Celtic. Here is Johnston for the Scottish champions up towards halfway. Hatate with the right foot ball, looking for Maida, but it's a comfortable enough header from Hartmann. But Hatate wins it back in the midfield. He's brought to ground, and it will be a free kick and a yellow card, the first of the evening for the home team. And it goes to Quinton Timber.
It's the right option for Hatate to play it in behind. Maida had made the run, and a couple of times they've tried to play that straight pass up, and it's been cut out. So I think that's the right option to try and get Maida in behind. But Feyenoord managed to deal with it. The reaction from Hatate when the ball back is absolutely brilliant, and he wins it back, wins the foul, and Celtic now have a chance to go and put Feyenoord under pressure.
McGregor gets it from O'Reilly, short free kick, and then McGregor turns it back to the edge of the centre circle for Scales, forward to Hatate. back to Scales. Scales then rolls it to Palma on the left-hand side, level with the Feyenoord 18-yard line, taking on his man, getting away from him, low ball into the 6-yard box is cleared by Trauner, and out it goes for a throw-in. A couple of really promising moments from Luis Palma in this second half, in the relatively early stages of it. Still 56.5 on the clock, 1-0 to the Dutch. And it does look as though there's going to be a couple of changes for Celtic shortly. Yang is one of them. So it may be that Palma, promising start the second half, is about to be hooked. Here is Scales. Short ball in field to Taylor. And back the way to Lagerbielke. Of course, these guys aren't up to full speed yet. Palma, one of the new boys. Kyogo finds O'Reilly, just evades him though, as they were attacking the Feyenoord box. Comes bouncing off McGregor, it's a handball, says the referee. Free kick to the home team. And here comes the double change for Celtic, and Palma is being withdrawn. And he's going to be replaced by Hyun-Jun Yang. And the other Celtic change, we'll see Odin Holm come on for Rio Hatate. James McFadden.
Well, Hatate is, you know, he was out for a spell there. I think he's played well. I think he's shown good energy. But maybe, you know, Brendan Rodgers just feels a little bit of freshness. Maybe he feels that, you know, Hatate's not at the condition to go and play the 90 minutes at the tempo. I'm a little bit surprised, I have to say, that Hatate's gone off. I'm not surprised so much with Palma. I know he was coming into it a little bit there, but I think that Maida on this left-hand side, Yang will go and take people on. He will try and commit people and drive at the defenders. So, yeah, I don't have too much a problem with that. Just a little bit surprised to see Hatate go off at this stage.
The ball was taken off O'Reilly there. He felt he was fouled. The referee disagrees. He's Feyenoord in possession, driving forward, left-hand side. Timber rolls it to the left-hand side of the penalty area for Stengs. Drives the ball across. Cleared by that man, Scales again. Yang, nice bit of skill, wide on the right, but it's just gone out of play. And that's going to be a throw into Feyenoord over on that far side. We're on the reverse side from where the dugouts are, and indeed the television cameras, which are on the opposite side of the stadium from where we are, to get ever closer to the hour mark here, with Feyenoord leading 1-0 in this Group E opener in the Champions League. Long ball from Trauner right down the middle of the pitch, but it's going to come right through to Hart, who'll gather and bowl it short to Scales. Up towards Odin Holm, who's just on, goes down, fouled by FIFA, and a free kick to Celtic, midway inside their own half.
They're going a bit more direct, Feyenoord. They're looking for that ball over the top, up the side. Celtic have defended it pretty well so far, but it's certainly a change of tactic for them.
Out of play for a Celtic throw-in in front of their technical area. Brendan Rodgers out there, hands in pockets. He's now having a little word with, I think, his captain there. Throw in Celtic. Johnston over it. Looking for some movement. There's Alistair Johnston. He's getting some from Kyogo, who comes deep to get onto it, and he turns it back to Scales. And then shift it to Taylor on this near side. Taylor forward to Maida. He's clearly caught there, Taylor, and so too was Maida. There were two fouls in that one. I think the first one's the one the referee's going to give the free kick for, but both of them were fouled. It was Minte on Taylor down in this near side, and then Yatruda fouled Maida further up the pitch there after a really good spin by the Japanese.
It's only 15 yards, but you'd rather have the foul where the Maida one took place.
Scales, long ball on top of the defender, over the top it goes, but Maida can't get onto it. It's right through to the keeper, and it will remain 1-0 to the Dutch champions.
He doesn't get on the end of it, but he shows he's got the pace. He shows he's got the pace on Hertruda, and that is a tactic that Celtic can use. It's good goalkeeping, you have to say, to read it and come over and snuff out the danger.
Feyenoord are going to make a change as well. Just a moment. And it is Wiefer who has it, and he rolls it to Hansko, out to the left-hand side. A long ball from Hartman. It's cut out by his own man, and out for a Celtic throw-in, which they've taken quickly. Looking for O'Reilly. Really using those long legs down that right-hand side, but he's lost out. He did well initially to control it, but it's picked up by his opposite number, Hansko. And the long ball breaks into the midfield. Odin Thiago Holm for Celtic. Short ball to Johnston to his right, back to Lagerbielke, and now with Scales. Scales has got Maida on this near side. Dies in Maida. Forward he goes, down the left-hand side of the Feyenoord box, and then he slices it behind for the goal kick. That's a waste. He could have maybe even tried to smack it off the Feyenoord player. It would have gone out for the corner. It is just a goal kick to the home team, though, as the Feyenoord fans crank up the volume here in Kuip. 1-0 they lead, 61.5 on the clock.
Yeah, he just slices it, Maida. Greg Taylor had made the run inside him, and he had that option to play it. I think he was favourite to win it, had Maida played it into his path. But when he goes down that left-hand side, you're right, if he can just hook his left foot round it and get that at worst off the defender and out for a corner, but he just slices it off the outside of his left foot.
Double change coming up for Feyenoord, which we'll get to at the next break in play. It's over on that far side. I'm not sure who it is, who's going to be on, but there will be 2 changes by Arne Slot, who was touted for the Tottenham Hotspur job in the summer. Turned down the opportunity, supposedly, signed an extended contract here, and of course Spurs came sniffing at Celtic, and Ange Postecoglou took his place in North London instead, as Stengs comes down the right-hand side up against Callum McGregor. It's away from him, burning away from him, into the box he goes, little reverse ball, Hart goes in, down goes the Feyenoord player who was Paixão, and I think it's been given. Penalty Feyenoord. It's been won by Paixão. He was upended inside the area, and Feyenoord will have a chance for a second.
Well, the referee had a quick look to his assistant referee and
it's a
gave the
second
decision.
yellow as well.
Yeah, Lagerbielke.
Lagerbielke's been sent off. The yellow card comes out for a second time, and the referee has sent off Lagerbielke. Now he's in discussion with several Celtic players. Joe Hart's there, Lagerbielke still on the pitch, Liam Scales, Callum McGregor. Well, this is looking like a penalty, and Celtic are down to 10.
I have to say, as the play developed, I didn't think it was a penalty, but we're obviously quite far away and you've not got a chance to see a replay. I thought it was just good defending at the time.
We are checking it right now.
And the referee looked to his assistant to make the decision. The assistant referee on this side has made that decision, because the referee didn't make it straight away.
No.
He has a look over, some sort of discussion with the assistant, then he points to the spot.
Big moment coming in here. Will the decision be penalty after the review? He's telling the Celtic player Lagerbielke to get off the pitch because he's been ordered off, booked in the first half. Second yellow card for conceding the penalty, and the referee looks as though he's content with the decision, which, as James said, was probably made by the assistant. And now Paixão, who won the penalty in the first place, is going to have the chance to stretch the Feyenoord lead here. And Celtic about to go 2 behind. The Brazilian stands on the 18-yard line and waits. Joe Hart waits in the middle of his goal. We're in the 65th minute, Feyenoord leading 1-0. And Paixão has the chance to potentially win it here for the Dutch champions. Right-footed, Hart saves it! Hart saves the penalty, and it's put behind for the corner. Celtic still in this, but down to 10 men, remember.
That's a huge save from Joe Hart. It's well struck with power. Can't see quite how the direction is if it's in the corner, but he gets down to his right-hand side, Joe Hart. 2 strong hands onto it and pushes it wide. Massive moment of the match for Celtic. Great save from Joe Hart.
Celtic are going to make a change in a moment as well. Iwata, who can play centre-back, or started the Scottish Cup final there, will be coming on. Not sure who's going to be sacrificed. Still just 1-0. And it's a corner to Feyenoord over on the far side. Left-footed into the box, it's poor. Celtic get it away. It's only partially clear though. Kept alive by Ivanišec over on that left-hand side. And then Stengs back down the line for Ivanišec. And then into the middle it goes to Hartman. Out to this near side. First time ball comes in behind the Celtic defence again. It's another opportunity, and it's Hansko who fires it high over the crossbar. It's the centre back it dropped to the left hand side of the Celtic box, and it stays Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0 on 66. Here come the changes, and the first changes will be made here, I think, by Feyenoord. Are going to roll the dice first, and the player coming on, Andre Linger, is going to come on, I think, for number 19, Minty. And he is coming off on this near side. Minty off, and the change for Celtic, and it was Iwata, and Tomoki Iwata has come on for, just trying to see who Iwata has replaced here for Celtic, and I think it's Kyogo who's been withdrawn. And okay, he hasn't been in the game much, but he's always a goal threat for Celtic, and Kyogo goes off. Iwata comes on, needs must, for the Scottish champions going into the final quarter of this one. They still trail 1-0, but they're also a man down as Taylor plays it up the line for home, and it breaks to here through that for Feyenoord, and he goes back to his goalkeeper. It's been a fairly dramatic last 5 minutes here, James, in Kuip, and Feyenoord could have doubled their lead. Celtic still in this, but it's a tall order for them now.
Yeah, as Kyogo is the one that has to come off, and Yang is playing a bit more central.
Stengs almost got the break of the ball, the edge of the Celtic box. Holm with a challenge. Oh dear, this could be another red card for Celtic. Holm's challenge, yes, it's another red. Holm with the studs up, and the Celtic sub is off as well. They're down to 9 now, and it's falling apart at the seams here in Rotterdam for Brendan Rodgers and his team. 1-0 down, 2 players sent off, straight red this time for Holm, and it's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0, 9-man Celtic 0. And James McFadden's reaction as soon as Holm put the challenge in spoke volumes. He looked away, he knew exactly what was coming.
Yeah, he goes to ground, his right leg is high and straight. I don't know how much contact was there, but it looked to me as if that was what the decision was going to be. Whether the referee managed to see it because he's at the other side of the instant, but he's obviously clearly seen it. I don't expect it to be overturned unless there's no contact with the player. But I mean, we were speaking about the fact that Kyogo's off, and Celtic have had to shuffle it a little bit, going a 4-3-2, Maeda and Yang coming in and playing more central, and now they have to go and find, you know, another way, potentially another substitute to take off.
Yeah, he's
Maeda
gone.
or
He's
Yang.
gone. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. It wasn't a great challenge, and it's not his lower leg. He slides on his left side. His right leg's high. It's straight. It's a poor challenge, and right at the moment where you're thinking, right, composure, make sure you're compact, don't lose a goal. You've got Yang and you've got the pace of Maeda to potentially catch Feyenoord on the break, because Feyenoord at 1-0 will go and commit more bodies forward. You suspect then that would leave space. Now with another man down, it almost takes that away and becomes mission impossible for Celtic at this moment.
And Feyenoord, when all is said and done, have a free kick in an attacking position here midway inside the Celtic half to the right of it. And Stengs, who got the goal, slips it through into the box. Joe Hart commits himself, it's clipped over him and in! And Gertruda scores! And De Kuip erupts here on Matchday 1 in the Champions League, where Celtic have fallen to bits all in the space of the last 10 minutes. 2 players off. And Gertruda was played in by Stengs. It's a clever free kick. He clips it over Hart. Fabulous finish, and it's Feyenoord 2, 9-man Celtic 0.
That's a double whammy. Home with a red card, and then from the resulting free kick, it's a brilliant pass, an excellent run, and it's an unbelievable touch and finish to chip it over Joe Hart. It's great play, it really is. It looked like the ball was going to be whipped to the back post, try and get that overload, but they come up with something clever. Great little pass, great finish. It's now for Celtic is don't concede any more goals. Going on to win the game with 9 men is near impossible. Don't concede any more goals.
Well, all that has happened in a 6-minute period. Lagerbielke sent off for conceding the penalty, which was saved by Hart. Holm then sent off, Well, they're checking for an offside here by the looks of things. Well, have Celtic been spared again?
Yeah,
It
take
looks as though
everything
they have.
back I just said there. It is
It's
brilliant, it's
offside.
well worked, but it was offside.
No goal.
A let-off for Celtic.
Huge.
And now they've got a chance. They say
Right.
there was mission impossible at 2-0, but they do actually have a chance to go and do something. It is 9 men, it's going to have to take something special.
Here comes Yang up the other end looking for Maida. So Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0 after all that. And 2 bullets dodged. Iwata under pressure, slipping it out towards Johnston, who goes shoulder to shoulder with Timber, and out it goes for a throw-in over on that far side, and Feyenoord are going to make another change. Timber is actually going to be withdrawn. The wind whips up again here. And the fact that Celtic are still within striking distance is a massive bonus for Brendan Rodgers right now, because they could easily be 3-0 down as Ramiz Zerouki comes on for Feyenoord.
Yeah, they could be, and I think at 2-0, or if any point in this game it goes 2-0, then it is game over. But at 1-0, Feyenoord will go searching for that second goal. They'll go and they want to score more goals, and it could potentially leave a chance for Celtic to get back in the game.
Beefers cross ball and headed behind for the corner by Johnston. There's a nice little clip ball in from the right hand side there by Jahan Baksh, who's the Iranian international who came off the bench as well during all that penalty drama. And that will be a Feyenoord corner, but the game is just completely turned against Celtic from that Stengs free kick just before half time. And it's just gone horribly wrong for them ever since. Still just one behind though, as the corner's taken short. Slip back the way there to Ivanušić. Chip ball comes into the Celtic box and headed away by Scales. Flag's gone up on this near side. It'll be a Celtic free kick, which Joe Hart's taken quickly, looking to utilise the pace of Maida down this left-hand side. It comes off Wiefer and out for a Celtic throw-in, though he thinks it came off Maida last. It's going to be a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Somehow, they're still in the game.
Yeah, and they are. I mean, Feyenoord are going to pile the pressure on. Celtic are going to have to defend, and it is going to have to take something special if Celtic can get a draw out of this game. It really would. It'd be an incredible achievement from the situation they're in right now to get a draw out of this game. But when you've got the pace in Maida, if you can defend properly, I said this when it was 10 men, Feyenoord will commit more bodies forward, they will take more risks. That in turn should leave opportunities, however small or slim that is. Celtic still have hope that they can get back into this game.
Free kick, Celtic. O'Reilly is over on this near side, midway inside the Feyenoord half. Into the box, well, the edge of the box. It's headed away, it's poor from O'Reilly. Didn't even beat the first man. And the long ball from Johnston, aimed for O'Reilly. It's flicked away from him there by Linger, who'll keep it in play as well as he shifts it back infield to Gertruda, who'd that goal ruled out a few minutes ago. Wiefer back to Gertruda, long ball up towards halfway. Hangs in the wind again as Iwata nods it forward. Reach to Hansko. To that left-hand side for Hartman, just playing it infield for Zerouki. The ball to the left-hand side of the box. Opportunity here for Hagsenbash, pulls it back. And it's blocked on the 6-yard line by Scales, and Celtic get it away. Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0 into the final 15 minutes.
You get the feeling this is going to be the pattern of the game now. You know, Feyenoord getting the ball back, getting the ball down the sides, crosses into the box. Celtic are going to have to defend, but when it does break and the ball comes up, Maida's up challenging. You know, he's clearly second favourite, could be even third favourite in a two-horse race there.
Ivanušić out to Stengs, down to the byline. It's going to be blasted across the Celtic goal. There's a chance in the back post, and in it goes! The fabulous goal from Ali Reza. Jahan Baksh, who's only been on a few minutes, dropped him left of the penalty spot, and he thunders it past Joe Hart. And surely now the points are staying in Rotterdam. Feyenoord 2, 9-man Celtic 0.
Yeah, it's wonderfully worked again from Feyenoord. It's a great finish from Johan Baksh. And just said that you felt this was going to be the theme of the game from now on. Feyenoord getting the ball down the sides, getting crosses into the box, making Celtic defend. It's very difficult because you're outnumbered in every department in the pitch. When the ball goes wide, it might be a free cross. When it comes into the box, Celtic might have men covered, but Feyenoord will always have a spare man. They exploit it there, and it's a great finish, and you just feel that, you know, Feyenoord were going to go on and win the game. But there's still 15 minutes to go for Celtic, and we spoke about this before the game, about the group being quite tight and everybody can beat each other. Feyenoord will be want to go and score goals there and get the goal difference up as well, and Celtic just have to not get drawn into, you know, throwing too many bodies forward and then leaving themselves exposed. They're already exposed. They don't want to be overexposed in the defensive area, and try and see this game out the best they can.
It's a fabulous finish from Johan Bags. He's played at 3 World Cup finals with Iran. He's got over 70 caps for his country, and 3 of his goals last season, he scored 8 times. 3 of them were in the Europa League, so he's now scoring in the Champions League. And can Celtic keep the scoreline down? It's going to be a very difficult last 13 minutes here. 2 men down, 2 goals down. Bang up against it. It's with Hansko left of the centre circle. It's just all completely unravelled, James, after a really promising first half. And Brendan Rodgers is going to have to hang his hat on that and hope that when they come up against Lazio in a couple of weeks' time in Glasgow, that they can reproduce what they produced in the first half tonight.
Well, absolutely. I think when you go down to 10 men, you can obviously still be organised defensively, but maybe offer a little bit less going forward. But when you go down to 9, Feyenoord were getting overloads when it was 11v11 anyway. They were getting the ball forward quicker, they were getting the ball into wide areas, they were getting crosses into the box. Celtic were dealing with it. But the first half performance was very good, a strong performance from Celtic. They have to take heart from that. What happens from now on in is about character, is about resilience and making sure you don't get beat heavily.
Another chance for Feyenoord though, as it's clipped in from the right hand side. It's all a little bit last ditch from Celtic all of a sudden. And Zaruki giving chase down the right hand side. Johan Bags has it to the byline, pulls it back, but it had just gone over the byline and behind for the goal kick, and it will stay 2-0 to Feyenoord.
It is just damage limitation now for Celtic. Feyenoord are going to continue to get the ball wide, they're going to continue to put crosses into the box, and Celtic just have to deal with it and hope that, you know, Maida can take the pressure off, or Yang when the ball comes up, just take the pressure off a little bit, take the ball for a run and allow Celtic to reset, because it's just waves of attack at the minute.
It's been a dispiriting second half for the Celtic supporters off to our left. There'll be a free kick for them though, inside their own half, just takes the sting out of the game. Feyenoord facing a huge match already in their league season, their title defence when they go to Amsterdam to play Ajax at the weekend. And they've shown some really good play at times this evening. You can see it's a good side, you can see that they could be a threat in this group. The players they have, the talent that Arne Slot has at his disposal. The Celtic come forward, it's O'Reilly at the edge of the box, breaks back to McGregor, whose shot was powerful, it's blocked. Maida trying to feed off the scraps, but it's dealt with by Geertruida. And Johan Bags plays it back to Geertruida and then forward to Stengs, and this is the danger for Celtic, down to 9, and they've committed several forward, and they've got an opportunity here, Feyenoord down that left-hand side. Ivan Jusic with the long switch of play to the right for Johan Bags, gets the cross ball in, delicate chip, which is headed away. Breaks back to Hansko, whose effort is wide of that left-hand post in the end. He's about 30 yards from goal when he struck it, and he got plenty power in it as well. But it's a goal kick to Celtic. It's 2-0 to Feyenoord. We're into the final 10 of the 90.
Yeah, and I think, you know, coming into this game, you're talking about Celtic getting a positive start, but when you come into the Champions League group stages, you look and say, if you win your home games and you get a result away from home in one of the other games, you've got a good chance of qualifying. Normally that means you qualify. So I think they'll take confidence, particularly for the return game against Feyenoord, that they can go and win that game. And it's all about setting it up to make sure you win your home games and you can pick up a result away from home, and that normally sees you through.
Spiefer driving up towards the Celtic box, rolls it with the right foot to the left. Ivanušić inside the box, looking for space to shoot. He does, it's blocked. Then Greg Taylor clips it away from here. Truda. Maida will try and get onto it on this near side. It's going out of play for a throw-in to Celtic. That looked like it should have gone the other way. Johan Bagsh making the point to the assistant on the near side. As Celtic make a double change again. Matt O'Reilly's going to come off to be replaced by Oh Hoon-Yu. And the other change for Celtic looks as though it's going to be Paolo Bernardo who'll come on as well, having made his debut against Dundee on Saturday. Maida's the other player to go off. So it's Bernardo on, O'Reilly off, and O has come on for Maida.
Well, O obviously doesn't have the pace, the threat of Maida, but he's got the physicality to hold the ball up, take the pressure off, and allow Celtic to maybe, gain some yards. Maida's putting a power of work. It's a tough one to ask him to get all the way forward and all the way back. We know he can do it, but now this is what we've spoken about, the result, the game's gone. Celtic, can they get away from here at 2-0? Can they see this game out? I think O helps with that. We've been able to hold the ball up and bring others into play and just take the pressure off.
More European action to come on Thursday. The early kick-off in the Conference League. Eintracht Frankfurt against Aberdeen. That's a 5:45 kick-off in Germany, and then it's Rangers Real Betis in Glasgow, 8 o'clock, Europa League. Here come Feyenoord in the Champions League, 2-0 up here, cruising. Johan Bagsh wide in the right, gets the cross in, and it's cleared round about the penalty spot by Bernardo. The throw-in will be taken by Johan Bagsh on this near side for Feyenoord. Infield to Gertruda, lovely play. Steps clear of O. Back to Johan Bagsh on the right. Rolls it back to Wiefer. Into the fringes of the centre circle. It's with Hansko. Looks to switch the play back out wide right for Johan Bagsh. Little reverse ball's lovely. Stengs inside the box at the byline. Pulls it back. Oh, good save in the end, I think, on the line there by Hart. Johan Bagsh shaped for the right foot shot, and it's been blocked right in the line, and it stays at 2-0. But here they come again. Johan Bagsh on the right hand side. His cross this time too close to Joe Hart, and it stays Feyenoord 2, 9-man Celtic 0.
That's a really clever effort from Johan Bagsh. When it comes to him, it looks like he's going to either chip it to the back post or shoot towards the back post, but he just uses the players in front of Joe Hart to bend it round him at the near post, and it's a tremendous save, because it could easily have been caught out there, Joe Hart, but it's a brilliant save.
There's Oh Hyun-gyu out to that right hand side for Yang. The two South Koreans. It's Bernardo to McGregor, and back to Iwata to the right for Yang, and it's rolled back to Iwata again. 84 played. Feyenoord cruising to the 3 points on match day 1. Match day 2, Celtic will be at home to Lazio, last season Serie A runners-up. That game coming up 2 weeks tomorrow. Still 1-0 Atletico Madrid in Rome against Lazio, incidentally. And it's picked up on this near side. So that's already a big game in the group, Celtic-Lazio. Both those teams, assuming Lazio don't manage to find an equaliser against Atletico, which they've still got a few minutes to do. That's already a huge game for both those clubs.
I think it'll be the case throughout this group. We spoke about it at the start, about it's competitive. I think each side can beat each other, but it sets it up for a huge game for Celtic. They can take a lot of heart and a lot of confidence from their display when it was 11v11, even though they were down 1-0 at the time, but they showed glimpses that they can be a threat, they can be competitive. By the end of this game, the result doesn't matter so much, because they're having to fight and scrap with 9 men, and in the end up it becomes mission impossible for them. But they will take confidence from how they've played at times. They'll still be looking to be, I would say, better going forward, create more clear-cut opportunities, but there's signs there that Celtic can be competitive in this group.
Ivan Nušić is down over on the far side. Feyenoord looking to make another change, another 2 changes. One of the men who helped drive them on to the title victory last season, Orkun Kukçu, probably their best player last season, left the club in the summer for Benfica. And they have still got this fantastically strong squad, and you consider their 2 best strikers weren't involved tonight, unavailable through injury and suspension. The stretcher's coming on here for Ivanušić, who's down over on that far side. We wait to see who Feyenoord will bring on. We can't tell from where we are on the opposite side of the stadium, which has made things quite difficult in that regard. Also with the VAR checks, there's been a few of them this evening. It's not been easy to work out at times what they're checking when it's not an obvious one like the challenges in the box. And the Feyenoord supporters are giving Ivanušić warm applause here, and he's clearly taken a sore one because he's going on the stretcher. Didn't exactly see what went on there as he prepares to be taken off the pitch. Leo Sauer, the young Slovakian, is going to come on to replace him. Another talented youngster that Feyenoord have at their disposal. Got a few of them who will be making waves in the years to come. And this latest one, just 17, is Leo Sauer. He was on loan here last season from Žilina, so he's already tasted success at the club. It will be a Celtic throw-in eventually, but this is just a question of the seconds ticking away. And there will be obviously quite a substantial amount of stoppage time added on for all the VAR checks, and obviously this has been going on for a few minutes as well, James.
Yeah, that's the way now. You know, substitutions as well. There's been a few subs. The time that's taken, you know, as you say, for the VAR checks, there will be a bit more time added on. Celtic now just, can they use the ball? Can they move it? Because at times, you know, even with 9 men, they have looked like they can knock the ball about. It's just that threat obviously goes with being the men down.
Throw in Celtic so the game can get back underway now that the change has been made. We're into the final couple of minutes of the 90. Bernardo gives the ball back sportingly to Feyenoord, all the way back to their goalkeeper Villenreuter, who did make that save from Dyson Maeda in the first half, and what was Celtic's best opportunity to score. A couple of decent balls in from the left hand side as well in that opening 45. It was just such a killer blow, losing to that Calvin Stengs free kick just before the break as they fell behind. Whipped out to Hansko, he goes back the way to Trauner, the Feyenoord captain. Out to the right hand side for Johan Bach, back to Gertruda, and then it's with Trauner, Wiefer, Gertruda, and then Stengs looking for Johan Bach. Not going to be able to keep it in play, is he? No, he has. He's managed to at the byline. He's got time to pull it back. Blocked by Scales, though. Some pace to keep that in play. Feyenoord have it with Hansko again, just outside the centre circle. Celtic just trying to get to full time without the scoreline getting worse. Feyenoord last season in Europe, and they had lots of European games because they started in the second qualifying round of the Europa League before going all the way through to the quarters. They averaged 3 goals per game at home in Europe. It's picked up on that left-hand side. Back to Wiefer. And then Trauner slips it out to the right for Johan Bach. He just took his eye off it, and it trundles under his foot and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. 7 minutes of stoppage time has been added.
Extra time, minimal 7 minutes.
But it was the season before they entered in the second qualifying round. They went all the way to the final of the Conference League before losing to Roma in a tight final in Tirana. As Bernardo wins it back for Celtic and rolls it to Iwata. And back to Hart. First time, long with the right foot. Cross halfway it goes. O with his eyes on it. Trauner battling with O, and the referee gives the free kick to the Feyenoord captain as he hits the deck.
It's good defending from Trauner, because O does well, pins him, makes it a scrap, and the ball goes in behind. Trauner just holds him off, knowing that he's going to be desperate to get on the end of the ball, knowing that he's going to make the foul. It's really good defending, using his experience there, Trauner.
Here through that forward to Stengs, out to Johan Bach on this near side. Rolls it back to Gertruda. It's kind of at walking pace at the moment. Johan Baksh back onto the halfway line. The Celtic players just trying to stick to their tasks in defence. It's picked up in the left. Low ball in! Chance for 3! And there is the third goal! But the flag's gone up again to deny Feyenoord. It was played in brilliantly from the left-hand side. Fired right across with pace and with power. And it was tucked home by Lingard, but I don't think it's going to count. They will check it back, obviously.
They just switch the pace. You know, you're saying they're knocking the ball about, it's walking pace, and it is. But when they get the ball wide, the pace just changes. It's flashed across. There's 2 of them there to tap it into the net. Obviously the flag's up, but again, I'm going to say...
He's wagging his finger at the linesman, doesn't think he's offside, but he obviously is, because the check, as far as I can tell, has been completed. No goal. Replays apparently suggest he looks well off.
Well, the thing is, the assistants in this side has seen it, and then if that's backed up by VAR, then he's offside.
So no complaints.
You can move your finger all you want, but they're going to find out if it's on or off.
Well, they're still checking right now. From what we are hearing, it was definitely offside, and they've eventually come to the decision. And Joe Hart takes the free kick with the right foot. Hands go underneath it. Little slip in the midfield by one of the Feyenoord players. It was Stengs, allows Celtic to win the ball back. He played almost 3 minutes of the 7 that was added. Celtic clear out for a Feyenoord throw-in on this near side. Celtic next in action on Saturday. Sportsound will have live coverage of it. They have a trip to Livingston. 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, back in the Premiership. 4 games on the Saturday, 2 on the Sunday. It's the Thursday European representatives start their lengthy Sunday fixture list. Trauner finds Hansko on the halfway line, and he shifts it to the left for Feyenoord. They'll feel their second half performance deserves more than the 2 goals that they managed to put on the scoreboard tonight. That long ball comes through, and Joe Hart comes to his 18-yard line to gather. It's McGregor out to Johnston, who goes down and wins the free kick. Over on that far side. Well, Brendan Rodgers will clearly be accentuating the positives when he speaks to the media afterwards. We will hear from the Celtic manager in the wake of this. He'll be looking at that first half performance, and he'll look at the second, where the red cards have clearly had a big influence on proceedings. And he's going to have to, as I said earlier, hang his hat on that first half performance, because it was that long-range free kick that did them.
Yeah, without doubt. Celtic have shown enough, and look, you can learn as well. They're down to 9 men. I know that Feyenoord have had the ball in the back of the net, but they've been offside, so they can take that as well, take the positives out of that as well, that they've managed to not crumble. They've managed to, you know, stay together as a team. Feyenoord are getting overloads. They were getting it 11v11. They're getting it even more now. But Celtic are managing, you know, to keep it at 2-0. I don't think it's a disaster. You never want to come away with a defeat, any kind of defeat, and say, well, you know, still positive to take. Sometimes you hear that and you think, well, you lost the game, that's all that matters. But there are certainly circumstances where Brendan Rodgers of Celtic can look at it and say, at this point in the game, we were competitive, dominating possession, probably had the better chances in the first half. They find themselves 1 down, but they can definitely take confidence and belief that they can go and win games in this group.
Deep into stoppage time here. 2-0 Feyenoord against 9-man Celtic. 2 minutes left. Feyenoord have it. Flip ball to the right-hand side of the box. Johan Baksh moves in field. Little slip ball to the edge of the box, but it's cut out by Celtic, and Oh Hyun-gu comes away with it on this near side, battling with the Feyenoord right back here, Truda, coming out on top as well and winning the throw on the near side. It was good from O.
It was, and I spoke about when he came on about holding the ball up, using his physicality and taking the pressure off. He does that. I mean, ideally Celtic want him to be doing that maybe 30-40 yards from the Feyenoord goal, not 30-40 yards from the Celtic goal, but you have to do what you have to do at times, and he takes the pressure off, wins the throw in, allows a bit of respite for his teammates, and allows Celtic to get themselves, a bit further up the pitch. Now the game's done. It's nearly, the referee will be blowing his whistle to end the game soon, but it's still that's what he's been brought on for.
Yeah, final minute of the stoppage time now. And that goes out to play on this near side for a Feyenoord throw-in. Lazio have equalised, incidentally, in the other game in the group. Provedal equaliser late on, in the 5th minute of stoppage time. Lazio 1, Atletico Madrid 1 in the other game in the group. That's full time now. Full time score 1-1. 2-0 Feyenoord here. And this game's just about done as well. And Celtic can look at that two ways. It's a point gained by Lazio late on that could prove crucial for them, but it means that there's not a winner between those other two, so just a point behind. Feyenoord will go to the top of the embryonic table. Siertruda picks up, finds Wiefer, back to Johan Baksh on this near side. He looks a good player, doesn't he, the Iranian, such an experienced campaigner at the top level, at club and international level.
He was the one that was crying when he scored his Premier League goal, wasn't he?
That's right.
Because of how much it meant to him.
Yeah. As he side foots the ball in field to the 18-yard line of Celtic, but it's cleared. It's a poor touch over on the far side. We're in time added onto the added time at the moment. Feyenoord in possession on the left-hand side. Not many Feyenoord fans have left. They're here all to give their team a standing ovation as the final whistle goes. The Celtic fans will give their players a warm reception as well here at full time after a really good first half performance. A first half performance full of promise. Was besmirched by that Calvin Stengs free kick in first half stoppage time, where he rifled it past Joe Hart from 30 yards, zipped towards the Celtic goal, through the wall, it bounced before it got to the goal, and it bounced past Hart into the net. It was a huge blow for Celtic, it really was, because they'd had opportunities themselves. Dyson Maeda most notably, perhaps, as he drew the save, but that was about Celtic's best chance. Palma early in the second half did force a save as well after the turnaround, but it all turned in Feyenoord's favour not too long after that one. And Celtic did dodge a couple of bullets in the end. Up the red card shown to Gustav Lagerbielke for giving away the penalty. Paixão's penalty, though, was saved by Hart. A pretty weak effort. But having dodged that one, Odin Thiago Holm also received his marching orders 4 minutes later after the Lagerbielke red. Holm was off, straight red card for the straight leg challenge. Here Truda had the ball in the net. It was ruled out after a VAR check, but Johan Baksh made sure it was a more polished scoreline for the Dutch champions, and that is how it finished, as the Celtic players applaud their supporters up in the top tier of the standoff to our left. It's another disappointing away day, though, in the Champions League for Celtic. Their away group record now reads played 24, lost 28. They've only avoided defeat 6 times in those 34 Champions League away assignments, and this is another one that's got away from them tonight, as Feyenoord put them to the sword. They next face Lazio at Celtic Park 15 days from now. They finished here, though, in De Kuip in Rotterdam. Feyenoord 2, 9-man Celtic 0.